I'm Lindsay from snarksandcrafts.com, and today we're going to be making a button fly on a pair of pajama bottoms. I'm going to be using the free pattern that's available on the Simplicity site. Download it and print it off, and then tape the sheets together from your printer to make a pattern for a pair of pajamas. The only problem with this pattern is it's flat front, it's gender neutral, which means if you're making a pair of PJs for a gentleman who prefers to go through the fence and not over the hedge, then he's going to have some problems. So to make the PJs, obviously you're going to need some fabric, sewing supplies, scissors, sewing machine, iron, and ironing board, some matching thread, and some 1/2-inch elastic for the waistband. In addition to these supplies, in order to make the button fly, you're going to want some interfacing. I'm going to use a dryer sheet, so essentially non-fusible interfacing. And I'm also going to leave myself the option to add some snaps at the end depending on how the fabric lies. So before we get started, I wanted us to take a look at the construction of a button fly. And if you want, you can grab a pair of PJs or a pair of jeans or something of your own so you can follow along. The thing to notice is for the button fly, you have a top portion and a bottom portion, obviously. And the top portion, the edge of it lines up right with the crotch. And so it doesn't really extend that far. So we're only going to need enough fabric to fold over on itself to reinforce it. On the inside, however, if we turn this inside out, you'll notice that the placket extends about 1.5 inches past the seam of the crotch, which is right here. So, in order to make the fly and add the fabric to our pattern, I've cut a piece of paper that is 6 inches by 3 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this to our pattern below where the waistband would be. And so we're going to extend both those pieces about that far, and then we're going to go back and we're going to cut 1.5 inches off of the piece that's going to be on the top because it doesn't need to extend past the seam we already have in place. Alright, so now I'm ready to start actually sewing. If you look at the Simplicity pattern directions, they instruct you to fold the pattern in half for each leg, sew up the middle to make 2 legs. Okay, so I have my first leg stitched. You can see I just ran a simple seam down the inside of the leg. But I want you to notice that with this placket, it now matters which side you're working on. So this is going to end up being the right leg of the pants. And so when I'm folding this, I need to make sure that it's going to form the left leg. And so the way I do that is when I fold it in half, I just make it look like the right leg with the panel for the placket on the inside if it were the right leg. And then when I sew it and turn it inside out, then it'll be for the left leg. So now I'll go ahead and do that and just sew down the inside of the leg. So what I did is I went ahead and pressed open the seams like the Simplicity Pattern Guide tells you to, and then I turned both legs right side out so that we could take a look at them and better visualize the plackets for the button fly. So with them turned right side out, you'll notice we have, again, the right leg and the left leg, and you'll remember me saying that there was a top and a bottom to the button fly, and the bottom is going to be bigger than the top is. So if you look at this, I have the right leg and the left leg, and I'll stand up so you can see a little better. What this means is there's going to be the right side with the placket that extends for the button fly, and then on this side, the left side, it's going to line up with the crotch so that you can just reach right and it'll be a nice clean seam here. So you can see again the top and the bottom. So the right leg is going to extend further than the crotch seam. What I did in order to facilitate this is I went ahead, and if you can see, I pressed under the edges of our placket by about 1/4 inch, and then I cut a piece of our interfacing, in this case dryer sheet, to about 1.25 by 5.5 inches. And so now I can slip this under the folded over edges like that, and then I can fold the whole thing over again like that. And so then what we can do is we can stitch this whole thing shut and form a little solid placket, so the under half of the button fly. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this in place. Okay, so now it's pinned in place, the placket, for, again, the right side, which is going to be the bottom half of this button fly. Now, for the left side, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to cut off about 1.5 inches of this. Because remember, we made them both the same. We made them both to the bigger side. So you're going to want to cut off about 1.5 inches and do the same thing. Fold over the edges and then put your interfacing into it. And then if you do it right, it'll line up really neatly with the crotch seam. Okay, so I have my button flies sewn, and what I'm going to do is pin them in place. So for the left side, the leg that's on the outside, that is going to be, I'm going to have the button fly for the right leg placed right on top of the button fly for the left leg. And I'll just go ahead and pin that, even though we're not going to be sewing there, because that defeats the whole purpose of having a button fly in the first place. Now, since that is my marker for this side, because the two button flies have to line up, I can just pin along the rest of the seam. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew. Make sure when you sew that you're leaving room in the waistband, or at the waist for the waistband, which will be both the elastic and then the waistband that you cut out of the fabric. Okay, so again, I'm going to start in the back, stitch around down over the seam that I've made sure that is pressed open, and up to the button fly, and then I'm going to turn the corner here and sew the bottom of the button fly together. I'll go ahead and do that, and then sew up along the top. Alright, so I stitched around the entire crotch seam along the back towards the front. I stitched the bottom and the top of the button, and so when I turned it right side out, you can see that it worked. We now have a button fly with a hole for a right-handed person. So I'm going to go ahead and follow the rest of the Simplicity pattern steps to make this a complete pair of pajamas.